She's back. She's actually fracking back. Holly fracking Gibney, getting her own novel this September. Here's everything we know so far about Holly. Hi everyone, I'm Dave Musson at Dave Musson on Instagram. Welcome to my channel. This is the place where I talk to you about Stephen King, and this is a bit of an unplanned, unscheduled bonus episode because I'm going to talk about Holly, Stephen King's upcoming new novel, which is going to be out on the 5th of September this year, 2023. Now, we've had a few details revealed about the novel, including covers, synopsis, and even an extract. So I'm going to go through all of those for you so you are up to speed on everything that's out there, and I'll offer a few thoughts on those different things and maybe throw in a few predictions about what I think might happen with Holly. So do stick around for that. Obviously it's spoiler free because the book isn't out yet. This is very much giving you all of the information that's out there so you know where things are going and you know what's happening with Holly. But first, a couple of things to plug. Now, if you'd like an e-copy of my mini collection Mirrored, which is some short fiction written by me, then all you need to do is sign up to my newsletter. Link is in the description below. You get this for free and you get a lovely email from me every single week with an indie horror author recommendation and a short story from me as well. So there's one thing for you to do. Second thing, you can pick up your copy of the Ultimate Stephen King Quiz Book, the book I published last year. More than 300 copies sold at the time of recording, which I'm very happy about. If you haven't got one yet, you can pick it up on Amazon or on Barnes & Noble. Links are in the description below. And if you have got one, maybe drop me a review and a rating on either of those sites or on Goodreads, because they do really, really help. And lastly, don't forget, of course, to check out the Constant Writers podcast, which has been running for a couple of episodes now. That's where I talk to indie horror authors about them, their work, and their relationships with Stephen King. You can watch the interviews right here on this channel. I'll stick the playlist up there. Or if you'd prefer to listen, you can grab the audio versions of them wherever you get your podcasts. Do check it out. Do follow, subscribe, like, share, tell a friend, all of those kind of things, because again, it does really help. And it's a great chance for you to get to know some amazing upcoming horror authors and their favourite Stephen King books. Okay, that's enough plugging. We are here to talk Holly, so let's get into this. Here is everything we know about Stephen King's new novel, Holly. Okay then, let's start with the basics. Holly, Stephen King's new novel. It's going to clock in at 464 pages and it is dropping everywhere, or pretty much everywhere, on the 5th of September. Now that's not really a surprise. Early September is always the time for the big boys to drop their books, and 5th of September pretty much makes it a year, almost exactly, since Fairy Tale. So you can get your pre-orders in now wherever you get your books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Waterstones, or of course your local independent bookseller. So do go on and get those. It's going to be available in hardback on that date in the US and the UK. And I noticed, interestingly, it's coming out in paperback on that day in Australia and New Zealand. Why those guys get their paperbacks right away and we have to wait, I will never know. But hey, it's also going to be available in unabridged audiobook and Kindle, ebook, all of those kind of things. So 5th of September, mark your calendars. I will be getting a copy. I will be reading and reviewing and probably doing a reading vlog, a bit like I did with Fairy Tale last year, which you can check out, of course. And I will be offering my thoughts on this channel as soon as physically possible. Now, we've also seen a couple of the front cover illustrations that have been released upon the world. So the US one, which I'll pop up on screen now and keep talking, I think is absolutely delicious. I love the colours in it. I love the fact that some of the lettering is a bit blocked by the house. I think the house offers an air of mystery. It's just a really nice piece of art. The font choice is great as well. I just think, yeah, it's an excellent looking cover. Then let's switch over to the UK one, which admittedly is not the finished cover, but automatically makes me think that yet again the UK is going to get an inferior cover. Although there is a slightly different detail on here in that the O of Holly is clearly a bicycle wheel. So I'm guessing a bicycle is going to play a part of the plot at some point. But the blue and yellow colour scheme is a bit basic, especially compared to the lush colours in the US one. And actually, it got me thinking, With the UK books, obviously we haven't seen the full cover yet, but if we look at the two most recent ones, Billy Summers and Fairy Tale, they're both kind of blue tones, and Holly's already showing to be blue, and they've both got this kind of layered approach, sort of flat layers on the illustrations. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's what we get, some sort of flat layered blue thing, with the Holly holding the bicycle wheel in the O. But that's what the covers are looking like. I much prefer the US one right now, but obviously I'm happy to see the UK one when it's ready to be dropped. And if I get proven wrong and that one turns out to be a banger as well, then hey, I'll be happy. So talked covers, talked release date. Let's talk about the book itself. So the details up until recently about this book were pretty sparse. We knew it was an entirely Holly Gibney story, and we knew it was set during the time of COVID. Now, the COVID part of it did make me a little bit worried as to like how much of a part of the plot that's going to be. But from the synopsis, which has been released, it looks like the COVID thing is more just going to be a nod to the time in which it was set, rather than a key part of the plot. So while we're talking synopsis, I might as well read it for you, and then we can have a little think about it. Sound good? Okay, let me just pull it up. I'm going to pull it up on my laptop, so excuse me for reading from it, but I'll try and be a nice host and look at you while I read it. So here we go. So this is the book about Holly. This is the book that Stephen King has not been able to let go, the character he's not been able to let go of. And, well, in this new novel, Holly's up on her own, and according to this synopsis, she's up against a pair of unimaginably depraved and brilliant disguised adversaries. So let's get into the synopsis. Ready? When Penny Dahl calls the Finders Keepers Detective Agency hoping for help locating her missing daughter, Holly is reluctant to accept the case. Her partner Pete has COVID. There's the COVID thing, and hopefully that's as much of the plot that COVID will get allocated to it. Her brackets very complicated mother has just died. Slight spoiler alert for If It Bleeds, but not a major one. And Holly is meant to be on leave. But we know Holly isn't very good at taking leave and doing things for herself, don't we? So no surprise here. Anyway, but something in Penny Dahl's desperate voice makes it impossible for Holly to turn her down. Mere blocks from where Bonnie Dahl, that's the daughter, disappeared, live Professors Rodney and Emily Harris. They are the picture of bourgeois respectability, married octogenarians devoted to each other and semi-retired lifelong academics. Oh no, not the academics. But they are harbouring an unholy secret in the basement of their well-kept, book-lined home, one that may be related to Bonnie's disappearance. And it will prove nearly impossible to discover what they are up to. They are savvy, they are patient, and they are ruthless. Holly must summon all her formidable talents to outthink and outmaneuver the shockingly twisted professors in this chilling new masterwork from Stephen King. So that's the synopsis, and for a Holly fracking Gibney book, sounds pretty good. My initial thoughts having read that synopsis, I like the sound of the plan. I like the fact that the baddies are going to be octogenarian academics hiding terrible things in plain sight. That all sounds like classic King fodder almost. You know, the monster isn't the thing with claws under the bed, it's the creepy old people down the street. And, you know, King is strong at writing old people, King is strong at writing children. We're going to get both of those in this. So, yeah, I'm into that. I'm also intrigued by the fact that we're clearly going to get a bit more about Holly's backstory and potentially some more about that relationship with her mother, which was probably one of the best things about If It Bleeds. So even though she has gone, her mother, I'm looking forward to just learning more about Holly, because I do feel like this is the book where I'm going to like Holly the most. I know I'm not that big a fan of Holly, but I am looking forward to finding out a bit more about her on this one. And I feel like with this being an entire novel of Holly, I feel like he'll probably dumb down the fracking and the poopy and that kind of stuff, and hopefully just tease out even more what is getting him so hyped about this character. So I feel like we're going to learn that in this book. We're going to learn really why Stephen King loves this character so much. And hopefully this will be the book that convinces me that actually she's a pretty good character. All that being said, I made this in a prediction in a short that I put out last week. I also think she's going to die in this book. I think King is going to say, right, this is enough of Holly, going to kill her off. I'll probably be very wrong on that, but I would hugely admire his bravery if he went to do that. So I guess, let's see. Just getting comfortable. Now, we've not just had a synopsis and covers and release date. We've also had an excerpt from the book. It was published on Entertainment Weekly, and I'm going to read it for you right now. Why not? It'll keep the minutes up. I'll probably be able to put an ad in this video then, and then make a few more pence to help fuel my silly little hobby. So this is available on Entertainment Weekly if you want to read it for yourself, but as I say, I'm going to read it for you now. So this is an excerpt from Holly by Stephen King, and it starts October 17, 2012. So clearly this is a bit of a prologue for what we're getting for the main part of the book, because that's almost a decade ahead of when it's going to be set. But anyway, it's an old city and no longer in very good shape, nor is the lake beside which it has been built, but there are parts of it that are still pretty nice. Long-time residents would probably agree that the nicest section is Sugar Heights, and the nicest street running through it is Ridge Road, which makes a gentle downhill curve from Bell College of Arts and Sciences to Deerfield Park, 2 miles below. On its way, Ridge Road passes many fine houses, some of which belong to college faculty and some to the city's more successful business people, doctors, lawyers, bankers, and top-of-the-pyramid business executives. Most of these homes are Victorians, with impeccable paint jobs, bow windows, and lots of gingerbread trim. The park where Ridge Road terminates isn't as big as the one that sits splat in the middle of Manhattan, but close. Deerfield is the city's pride, and a platoon of gardeners keep it looking fabulous. Oh, there's the unkempt west side near Red Bank Avenue, known as the Thickets, where those seeking or selling drugs can sometimes be found after dark, and where there's the occasional mugging, but the Thickets is only 3 acres of 740. The rest are grassy, flowery, and threaded with paths where lovers stroll and benches where old men read newspapers, more and more often on electronic devices these days, and women chat, sometimes while rocking their babies back and forth in expensive prams. There are 2 ponds, and sometimes you'll see men or boys sailing remote-controlled boats on one of them. In the other, swans and ducks glide back and forth. There's a playground for the kiddies too. Everything, in fact, except a public pool. Every now and then the city council discusses the idea, but it keeps getting tabled. The expense, you know? This night in October is warm for the time of year, but a fine drizzle has kept all but a single dedicated runner inside. That would be George Castro, who was a gig teaching creative writing and Latin American lit at the college. Despite his speciality, he's American born and bred. George likes to tell people he's as American as Pie de Manzana. He might actually be Jorge rather than George. Jorge. Somebody who knows how that's pronounced, let me know in the comments. George, I'll stick with that for now, but I'm fully aware it might be Jorge. Anyway, he turned 40 in July and can no longer kid himself that he is still the young lion who had momentary bestseller success with his first novel. We've got a writer. 40 is when you have to stop kidding yourself that you're still a young anything. If you don't, if you subscribe to such self-actualizing bullshit as 40 is the new 25, you're going to find yourself starting to slide. Just a little at first, but then a little more, and all at once you're 50 with a belly poking out your belt buckle and cholesterol busters in the medicine cabinet. At 20, the body forgives. At 40, forgiveness is provisional at best. Jorge Castro doesn't want to turn 50 and discover he's become just another American man-slob. You have to start taking care of yourself when you're 40. You have to maintain the machinery because there's no trading option. So Jorge drinks orange juice in the morning, potassium, followed most days by oatmeal, antioxidants, and keeps red meat to once a week. When he wants a snack, he's apt to open a can of sardines. They're rich in omega-3s. Also tasty. He does simple exercises in the morning and runs in the evening, not overdoing it but aerating those 40-year-old lungs and giving his 40-year-old heart a chance to strut its stuff. Resting heart rate, 63. Jorge wants to look and feel 40 when he gets to 50, but fate is a joker. Jorge Castro isn't even going to see 41. And that's as much as we've got. So, as an extract, doesn't really give much away, does it? Clearly set many, many years before the bulk of the story, Doesn't have Holly in, has this Jorge writer person. Nice bit of foreshadowing at the end, but for an extract is kind of weird. A lot of stuff about how you need to look after your body when you hit 40. A very detailed description of the park and the street. And clearly the American cover is showing one of the houses on that street. But really there's not much there. Not much to get us excited about Holly, the character at least. But it's certainly intriguing about the book. I definitely want to know what's going to happen to Jorge. And I definitely want to know how that ties into the rest of the plot. Hey, it's a little slice of New King as well, and I'm always looking to read that. I'm guessing we will get more excerpts between now and the release date on the 5th of September, but that's what we've got for now. So we've got the covers, we've got the release date, we've got the synopsis. It's Holly on her own battling these potentially evil octogenarian academics while trying to look for this young girl, Bonnie Dahl. And we've got the scope to learn more about Holly. We've got the scope to learn more about Holly's mother and their relationship. We'll potentially learn a bit more about Pete, although to be honest, he's a bit of an annoying character and I don't really mind that he's out of the way. And we've got the potential here for Holly to finally be fracking cool. Maybe. Anyway, I'm excited for New King. I'm always excited for New King. Even with it being Holly fracking Gibney, I'm intrigued enough about this. And I feel like she's a character that has become so important for King that he's going to pull out the stops here and give us something really excellent. And it looks like this is the only book we're getting this year as well, so his attention isn't divided to somewhere else. So yeah, I'm excited. Now, we've got a bit of time between now and the 5th of September when Holly comes out. So that means you've got plenty of time to read the Mercedes trilogy and The Outsider and If It Bleeds. Those are all the stories that give you Holly so far. So read those if you haven't already. Reread them if you have. I plan to reread them before September. And if you want to check out what I thought of them, so you've got 19 reasons to read the Mercedes trilogy, which you can find out there. And then, of course, there are 19 reasons to read The Outsider. And there are 19 reasons to read If It Bleeds, although that is the entire collection. There's probably only 4, 5, maybe 6 of them about the story If It Bleeds, but that's where you will find that. So do go and check all of those out. And let me know what you think about Holly. Are you excited? What do you think of the covers? What do you think is going to happen? Is Holly going to live? Is Holly going to die? Is Holly going to solve the case? Is Holly going to get COVID? And what are these octogenarian academics going to be like? Lots to ponder. Lots to get excited about. Do go and pre-order Holly. I'm going to go and do that right now. I'm going to head off to my local independent bookshop and get that pre-order in. And then, hey, we'll come back in September for a proper review of Holly. But other than that, thank you again for checking out my channel. Your support means everything. Do go and sign up to my newsletter, pick up my quiz book, check out the Constant Writers podcast. And hey, stick around. There's loads more Stephen King stuff coming. And I guess Holly is on the fracking horizon.